you follow up with someone and you send them some really cool restaurants. You send them some, a good ice cream shop or somewhere for a good play date with their kids, and you think they ghosted you. And 6 months later, they call you up and tell you, "Oh yeah, man, I'm back in town. Can you show me XYZ property? Oh, by the way, that restaurant is awesome."
All right, so welcome everybody. Let me jump back on camera here. Let's see what we got. All right, so if you want to listen to the new construction marketing archives, download infographics and resources to these tune-ups, make sure you head on over to the iconicagent.com/tune-up. You will get all of the episodes, the resources we provide, as well as infographics. Every episode has actionable information that you could take and go do and get results. Come back, do some more, and start dominating new construction locally in your area. Also, if you want more in depth, we're giving you the what if you want to know the how, the specifics, and we'll call out a couple ways that we can help you during this tune up today. But you want to go over and scan this QR code, join the New Home Insiders. You get monthly access to Q&A trainings. You get the AMA replays, coaching calls, specific trainings. The next training coming up, we have one of the insiders, Derek in South Florida, mentioned he had a $250 a month budget. We're going to work with him and show him exactly what to do to leverage that $250 a month budget to generate business, build his brand, make more new construction sales. So head on over to the iconicagent.com/insider. So if you have questions, this is a one-way conversation. This is Nate and I sharing the information. You can always join next month. That's going to be May's AMA, which is our free coaching and support session, 6 o'clock till about 8 or 9. It's completely free to attend live. The replays only go to insiders. And if you're in the insider, you have 24/7 access to us to ask questions, get answers. There's coaching. You can watch the AMA replays. You can watch all of these replays and the bonus resources that we're going to mention. Resources, tools, and we also do have an onboarding call as well. So you'll get that on the insider. The insider is where you actually have access to ask questions and get the help that you need. So today we are going to talk about keeping leads engaged and what we're doing now. Now, as in like today, this is happening. This week so far, this has been happening. So about a current case study, something I'm actively working on, how the buyer found me, how I'm responding and working, and what else I intend to do. So Nate and I are just going to have a conversation, which is a typical conversation we have on the regular, which was what sparked this whole tune-up in general, because we know folks would be love to be flies in the walls of our conversations. Well, this is another one of those. So, all right, so let me jump out of here real quick. And Nate and I are just going to have the conversation around what we're doing now. So I'll give you a little context here. So last week, every Friday, I have two calls. I have one accountability call with two non-real estate business owners. We've been doing it for 10 years. That's a huge feat if anybody has ever tried to put two people or more together on a call. Anyway, after that call, I had another one. Um, and that's folks that are on my team, a couple partners. We do a brainstorming mastermind every Friday. So I'm in the middle of the call. I think I had Edwin was talking about a strategy that's working for him. So we're just sharing what's working, kind of like what we're doing here, but it's way more tactical. And this is a closed door just for folks on my team. Nate pops in on occasion, drops some bombs. But we were having a conversation. I got a call, and I looked at my phone. I was like, "Oh, that's my business line. Let me take this real quick." 20 minutes later, I got back on. I was like, "Okay, so that was a lead that came through. Um, they found me through AI search and videos, which we teach in the Insider. Not the AI search yet. We need more data behind that. But as far as videos, totally. Uh, and they wanted to live in a lagoon community. Now, just so happens, I lived in that lagoon community for a little over a year, which was it's a great community. So I knew it very well because I lived in the community. They had there's only a couple of lagoon facing townhomes that she wanted left. But anyway, she had already done the research, and this is the value. And I'm gonna have Nate chime in on this too. This is the value of the type of marketing and the intent-based marketing we do. This person found me and was already looking in their lagoon community. They already knew they wanted to live in there. They did some research. They didn't know about the sister lagoon community, so that kind of sparked their interest. Was like, oh, I didn't know about that. But they were looking. She was looking for a lagoon townhome, and she found me, which means everything we've been talking about for the last damn near 10 years is exactly what happens. This is just showing this in action. So, intent based marketing is exceptionally valuable because they already have an idea of what they're looking for. So now in the insider, we do walk through the specific strategies and ways to do this. We're not going to cover that here. You got to go over to the insider. But Nate, let's give a little insight into that. And you had a lot of experiences from you going places and people walking out of the design center and noticing you from your intent based marketing. But let's talk a little bit about, we talk about silver blue in the face, but intent based marketing. They're looking for new construction. They find you, you work your magic. What we're going to talk about here today is us working our magic and what I'm actively doing as early as yesterday. And today I have some more to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first step in there, we know we talked about generating the leads, right? So we once that happens, all of the stuff that goes around that. So the content that we create, that organic content that lives on places like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn is very specific because it speaks to the specific buyer that's looking in the specific place that is trying to buy the specific thing that you're focused on with those conversations. And the beauty about that is that even after people have gone through your funnel, or even if they haven't gone through your funnel, they're just organically looking, Google, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, when they come across your content, you are that area expert that they're looking for. And that's the organic byproduct of being able to create content that's very intentional, that speaks to a very specific person, right? If you're talking to everybody, you're not talking to anybody. So if I go out here and I just create content about people who want to move to Miami, that really doesn't help them, because there are people at every price point that want to move to Miami. There are renters that want to move to Miami. There are people who want to move to Miami that can't afford to move to Miami and don't know they can't afford to move to Miami. So if I'm talking to everyone, that doesn't help. But if I'm talking to very specific buyers that want to buy luxury pre-construction condos in South Florida between 800,000 and a million, that's a very specific buyer, or branded residence buyers, right? So we talk about generating development specific leads, and very often development specific leads can translate into product specific leads, right? So you do a lot of townhome stuff. So generating buyers for a specific townhome community also generates buyers for townhomes in Tampa in general. But that happens as a product of you being an expert in talking about townhomes in Tampa, right? That's the thing. So that also helps with follow-up content. That also helps up with engagement. That also helps with all these other, ancillary things. But the nugget there, I think, well, one of the nuggets there is being intentional about the content you're creating and being very specific about who that content is supposed to speak to in a very, very particular way.
Yes, and one thing, Nate, you mentioned one of the keys was you mentioned a funnel. Now, I want to be clear with this specific one, and this is also, we have a funnel, people can go through, they don't talk to us. She called me. So that's a very important factor. One of the things that I see, it's so simple, but so many agents forget about or don't even think through. Make it whatever you're putting out there, make it easy to contact you. Put your phone number, email on everything. Everybody doesn't want to just go to a website and not deal with some people. She was ready to go Now, which I'll talk a little more about that, she called right away. She never got in, never gave me her name, email it. We just had a conversation, and then I got that. So the hottest lead you can get is somebody that's actively looking, finding you, and saying, "Hey, I'm looking to buy in here. What can I do?" Now that's not all of them, but when you get one, and whether they're in your funnel or not, pipeline, funnel, pipeline, we're going to use those interchangeably. You still want to take this approach. So when I had the conversation with her, number one, she was extremely hot because she called me. All I did was listen. I asked a series of questions just to kind of find out where she was. One of the things I did ask her was how she found me because I want to know which level of marketing is working specifically for whoever's coming in. Um, and then she mentioned, I asked her, I got her timeline, and then she mentioned she needed help with the process. She's new, she needs to be handheld through the process. And Nate and I, we offer concierge service. Now, that sounds fancy to a lot of people, but basically it means we're going to hold your hand through the process and make your life easier. Those that get it, get it. If you're cheap and you're trying to get the best deal and save the most money and you want to go out there and do all the research and all that, then you're probably not a good fit for me. You're definitely not a good fit for Nate. But if you're going to trust us to be the experts we are to guide you through the process, that's right up front. We tell folks this is what it is. If you want the easier button, we can help you. If you want to just be the expert and you're smarter than we are, that's okay, but we're probably not a good fit for you. So she broke all that down. That was on that first call. Then I said, okay, took some notes, waited a couple of days and followed up. Crickets. Instantly, just like any other agent, I'm like, oh man, she ghosted me. So I sent her another email, called, she didn't answer, sent her a text message, sent me a one-word response. I'm like, okay, it's only 3 or 4 days after, not worried. We still building that rapport. So what I did was I didn't get any response to the calls. The text, I got responses here and there. So she was somewhat still responding. And then I recalled our conversation. I said, okay, I recalled our conversation and I had to go back and I had to put my Damon coaching hat back on and say, hey, you know what? What would I tell me to do if I was coaching me? And it was be your pipeline and your sphere's vision board, meaning help them imagine what it's like to live there. So we have a complete training on that in as well as a resource in the Insider as far as what that means about being your pipeline's vision board, how to do that, the specific steps to take. We got AI prompts and all that over the Insider. So if you head on to the iconicagent.com Insider, you can get that. But what I did was I recalled what she told me. So remembering what she told me. And Nate, I'm gonna tell you what I did, and then I want you to listen and think through outside of what you've done in similar situations, but even to expand on what I'm already doing so that I can even do it better. So I need your coach Nate hat on too. So
Yes.
here's the 5 things she told me. She has 2 nieces that are young that come into town. She's coming from New York to Florida. She has 2 nieces. She has grown, we call them baby adults. Her kids are grown. They're out the house, no grandkids yet. She works from home. One thing I caught, she likes coffee shops. So she works from home, but she wants community because she works from home. So she doesn't want to like just be cooped up. She wants some community. She likes coffee and coffee shops. This is her semi-retirement. She wants to get out of there and go somewhere where she can almost kind of retire or live at least somewhat of a retirement life, be in Florida. And then the last thing she mentioned, she wanted an end unit. So with those key insights, what caught me was coffee shops. Now there's a coffee shop that I personally worked out of that was about 4 miles from, because I know it's 4 miles because I would cycle, ride my bike every Sunday to that Starbucks and back. So okay, I know that one is there. And then the Publix across the street, which is like a super Publix, they have coffee there. So that popped in my head. And she said 2 nieces. So I'm like, I didn't get enough detail to know what her nieces like or their ages. The work from home, I was like, got it. The retirement piece, I was just kind of like, it's Florida, so that's not really that hard. And the end unit. So first thing I did after we had the conversation, Actually, let me backtrack because I missed a step. So as soon as the first communication I sent out was email after we spoke. This is before I started to kind of feel ghosted. So what I did was I sent her. She was not aware there were two. There's Murata, which is what she was interested in, Epperson. Murata is the biggest lagoon in the country. It's like 15 acres. Epperson's half of that. She didn't know about Epperson. So I sent her end unit floor plans of videos that I already had recorded because that's what we talk about in the Insider and in our trainings, like creating video. It's not focused on video, but you want to have video because you're out of state. You want to get an idea of what things look like. I sent them to her. She came back and did respond in the text and said the Epperson looked a little too small. There's not small. They were too like closed in from the videos. She liked the more open space of Murata. That was the first thing. So I said, okay. So now I'm in my head. We've got some rapport because I sent her some video walkthrough tours. Each video was like 10 minutes long, so she can see through. She got a good feel for it. Boom. After that, hadn't really heard from her, so I said, okay, well, let's do this. I put together a list of coffee spots in the area, my favorite coffee spots that I personally go to. So I told her about there was a Starbucks, and then I explained if you want to just get a quick coffee, run in and out, you can go to Publix, which is literally across the street. Gave her the proximity; it's about 4 miles away. Time it's open. Um, I also mentioned because she liked to work from home. I said I work from that Starbucks a lot, and there's some really cool people in there. It's a quiet vibe. There's more students in there in the evenings than in the daytime. So if you want to get out and go there, you could work there. If you want a quick cup of coffee, you can run into that's cheap and you can go and it's good. You can run into Publix across the street. By the way, she didn't ask me this. They have good acai bowls too, and a really awesome food court inside there, which is I've never seen in a Publix. Then I told her about three other places that I personally visited, and they were all within approximately about 20 miles. So I told her how far apart they were. I told her there's a place called the Crates at the Groves in Wesley Chapel that I told her about. I can never remember the name of this place. It starts with a P. They have a lot of car shows there. But I also told her my favorite drink there was the cafe con leche. Perfect. I always go there and get the cafe con leche, and then I would sit down. It's a great place to work too. It's quiet. It's in the cut. She's from New York. She's from Brooklyn. So I also mentioned, there's a really dope Jamaican spot there. There's a Puerto Rican spot in there, and then there's a Venezuelan spot, and there's a lot of food culture. So if you're a foodie, I don't know if she was or not, but that's just a little something I'm doing. Then I told her there was another spot that I frequented. It was called Sorbos. It was a little about 20 minutes out. And then I said at the end, just want to share. There was no, hey, call me when you're ready to buy. It was none of that. It was just, hey, you mentioned you like coffee. I'm a coffee snob myself. Really, I just like to work from coffee shops and drink coffee. So I sent those and I said, oh, by the way, at the end, every now and then, I like to cheat. And if you like soul food, somebody's grandmama's in the back kitchen of this spot here. And I sent that to her. So I sent that off to her, let it be, and text her, double tap. If y'all know what that means, if you're an insider, you know what that means. If you're a client, you know what that means. Double tap, text her and said, hey, sent you a message, take a look at it. So then I finally got her on the phone again. And my whole point in this was to really show her the lifestyle, start getting her to imagine the lifestyle of living there. Like, oh, all this is there. We had another 20-minute conversation. I got some more details. She told me she liked Murata, and she also liked possibly water view, end unit, and lagoon views. So that gave me more intel. So after that, we had a conversation, and she was like, we were talking about the email. She said, okay, I got the email. Like, oh, right. I said, oh, this isn't that far. And then she said her cousin said it's far from everything, and I had to ask her, well, what's far? She used to live in Atlanta. If you ever lived in Atlanta, everything's an hour away, 45 minutes to an hour away. She was like, that's nothing because there's not really too much further difference to the beaches or downtown Tampa from there, just further north. So I explained that to her. It's about 20 minutes from her cousin. She was like, oh, that's not bad. So she got rest assured there. But the we were having a conversation. She's like, "Oh man, I love soul food and like acai bowls. That's my thing." So we kind of got some rapport there. I had no idea. I just told her this was my thing. So we already have a little bit of rapport there. Plus, we're both from the Northeast. But that was cool. And then now, what I've done, I went to. So I was in Tampa this last weekend. So we went to get acai bowls at Playa Bowls. They're the best, if anybody knows, and that's a Jersey company. But we went to Playa Bowls, and I'm walking. I'm like, oh, I told my fiance, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go shoot a video. So I walked over to Sorbos, and I said, hey, this is the one of the coffee shops I was talking about. So I took a picture of the outside, and I walked in and showed the vibe inside, and took a picture of the menu. I'm going to send that to her. I haven't sent that to her. When we drove into the community, there's these beautiful, massive fountains. So I'm driving. My fiance took pictures of the entrance, and then I went and took pictures of the currently available. There's only one N unit left at all in this community. It's a gated townhome community. I went, walked in the model. I have a relationship. My guy wasn't there, but his partner was, so she let me in. And I walked through and said, "Hey, this is your view. This is what you look like." Walked around the back. Then I walked through. There's two lagoon-facing interior units. Beautiful view of the lagoon. Like from your bedroom, you wake up and there's just this clear blue water, and it's probably about 3,000 feet down. That's where all the noise is. So you're far away from everything. And I kind of explained that, and showed those two to her, and I'm going to put those together and send those out now. But it's she came in. She hasn't come down yet. We're trying to. She said June. She's gonna come down like the first week of June. Trying to get her down in May because the units that are there, I don't think are gonna be left. Plus, I want to show her the other lagoon, which is a little smaller, but their floor plans are way different and there's more N units. So to explain to her, if there's a sense of urgency and you really want an N unit here, the only way you're going to get it is if somebody goes for a resale, which they haven't even finished building them yet, and the ones that are there aren't going to resell. Somebody bought the model, so that's not an option. This is the only one left. Or if you want an interior, they're almost done, so you probably have a couple months there, and they're all in the price range. So right now she's talking to finance, and we're working through it. So Nate, with all of that, what are your thoughts, and what are some things that you would do, or ideas that you've done, or things that additional things that I can do based on that?
Yeah, well, I think you did the most important thing, which was obviously we talk about follow-up, but when you sort of future paced her into this is what you this is what your life looks like here, and you were able to do that because you live there. So you're sharing with her, well, this is what my life looks like here. So part of the thing that agents, we talk about this in the Insider a lot. We talk about it with agents we talk to very frequently. Is you have to be intimately familiar with the communities that you're selling. So if you don't live there, you yourself have to behave like you live there. Meaning that you got to do what you did. You go to get the acai bowls, go to the coffee shops, go know where the Publix is. Be able to say, yeah, I ride my bike around here because those are the things that help you to build rapport with that person and don't make your follow-up theme salesy, right? Because there's a point there where okay, she's not responding, and if you can't reach out with something that's meaningful and impactful and value-based that says, hey, here's some really cool coffee shops and a dope soul food place that I go to all the time, then you have to read. If you can't do that, then you're going to reach out with something that falls flat. Like, hey, are you still interested in buying? And that we know that's not going to work. But when you're
And
you're you're coming in
I
from
was
a
going to say
value-based place, you know what I mean? That's the thing.
the side note with what Nate just mentioned. In the Insider, we have specific resources that we give you that are really easy to follow, that'll pull between Reddit, and it'll give you that lifestyle inspiration. You say, hey, I'm looking for this. It'll give that to you, and it'll give it to you in a non-biased format, as well as the 12 months of emails, which you can also use for videos, which is where the inspiration came from. There's 12 months of emails and 60 minutes training we have in there too that helps with this future pacing.
Yeah, that's the key. But at its core is you got to live there or know it well enough as if you did, because the magic in the follow-up is that it doesn't feel like generic salesy follow-up to the person you're following up with. It
Feels like you're
feels
their
like you're
best friend.
Exactly. You're offering genuine value because, and this has happened to me, in the past. You follow up with someone and you send them some really cool restaurants. You send them some, a good ice cream shop or somewhere for a good play date with their kids, and you think they ghosted you. And 6 months later, they call you up and tell you, "Oh yeah, man, I'm back in town. Can you show me XYZ property? Oh, by the
That was so
way,
fun.
that restaurant is awesome." Right? But that's how that works because you're offering them value. So making sure that you are in the position to offer meaningful value to anyone that comes through your funnel, and that puts the responsibility on us as agents to know the communities, to know the areas, but to not just know them from a buyer standpoint, to know them from a lifestyle standpoint, to know them from a restaurant, coffee shop, good place for dinner, good place for date night perspective. And when you know that, that becomes transformative, obviously, for the conversations that you can have with clients. That also becomes transformative for the way you can generate leads, because if you're actually hanging out in those places, you're much more likely to find other people in those places that want to buy or sell, and you can build relationships in those ways. So I think you hit the nail on the head, with being able to give her real life action-based lifestyle information that gave her value, which then gave her a reason to engage again with you on a personal level outside of the client, agent relationship.
Yep. And by the way, this is the view that I sent her. This is the actual view of the lagoon for the two interior units. The end units are gone. So what I'm doing is actually, so today I'll be sending those videos and the coffee shop. So it's the coffee shop because I shot that vertical. I'm gonna send that and say, hey, I happen to be out here. Boom. Then I'm gonna send her the walkthroughs. And when I'm talking on the video, I'm actually, so like if this was the video, I did one of these. I was like, okay, so right here, that's where everybody congregates over there. There's the jungle gym on the waters right here. Like I was doing video like that when I was pointing through. So I was talking to her specifically, which it's not a generic video, it's a one-off. And that's so she'll know it was created for her. Nate, I want you to cover the flying by because you talk about that more than I do. And this is something I want to try to get her off the fence with to get her going. If she's ready, it sounds like she's ready. She's more, and this is another thing. As we're talking, she's like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like my credit score is good, and I have like $50,000 saved. I'm trying to save another 20,000. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're way qualified for what you're trying to get. So there's just, they don't understand what they actually need to get in. Yes, you could do 20%, but there's also other options. There's some great incentives. But I'm going to keep the vision going. And one of the things I want to use is I'm checking with the developer now if they'll do that, but a flying by. And Nate, explain the benefits of a flying by and what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So a flying by is exactly what it sounds like, and it can be a very, very powerful tool if you have a buyer who's on the fence, wants to take action, but just needs a little bit more of an incentive. And very often here in South Florida, the developers are willing to credit a buyer the cost of their trip if they fly in and purchase a unit. So, and obviously, we're not talking about private jets and penthouse stays, just the reasonable cost of a first class flight and a nice hotel room. But if you have a client who's on the fence about something, you can go to that developer. You can go to your on-site person and say, "Hey, I got a client that's in New York, New Jersey, California, Texas, wherever, and they're really excited about this unit. If they can fly in, this weekend, next weekend, sometime this week, and they purchase, can we credit them back, at closing, the cost of this trip?" And that trip might be 3,500, 4,500, usually around 5 grand ish, depending on how long they stay in town. Can we credit them back at that at closing? And I've never seen a developer say no to that. So that's the first thing. The second thing there is if the developer isn't willing to do it, in many cases here, especially in the South Florida, these are developers that are paying, 5, 6% on condos. That's like a point off your commission. So you can say if the developer doesn't do it, you can say, hey, well, we here at Black Luxury, we offer a fly-and-buy program for clients that are interested in buying at this particular development. We have a great relationship with them. So what we can do is if you fly in and you buy, then we can credit you back that the cost of your trip, up to XYZ dollars at closing. So it's a really powerful tool to get a buyer that's already very, very interested to sort of move forward a little bit faster than they might have thought it was possible, because they may be saying, oh yeah, well, I don't want to spend the money on a trip right now. And being able to offer them that fly and buy could be the thing that gets them across the finish line.
All right, awesome. So you guys have, we're about the top of the hour here. So if you like the resources from this conversation, head on over to the iconicagent.com/tune-up. If you have questions or need answers around this content, you want the 12 months of email in 60 minutes resource, the Reddit local research engine for content, which will help you future pace your clients, like Nate talked about, and the full 2-hour replay of April's AMA coaching and support session and any future, plus anything else we talked about today, any other resources. You get exclusive access at the New Home Marketing Insiders. Scan this QR code or head on over to the iconicagent.com/insider. You will get all of the resources, tools, access to us to ask questions, as well as proprietary new construction marketing software. I'm not even going to go into that. We might do a tune-up that just walks through all the software that we have created for agents that want to sell new construction. Head on over to the iconicagent.com/insider. And Nate, sir, can we get the benediction, my brother?
Thank you for coming out. God bless y'all. Go get the money.
Digital wave we ride, strategies we provide. No need to hide, success is on your side. Close deals like a pro, watch your profits grow. High standards we show.